Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. Today I am so excited because we're finally watching episode 2 of the Beatles Anthology docu-series, and I made a rookie mistake and I watched the SD version, standard definition, from the 80s. I think it was made in the 80s, right? And Disney Plus redid it all and made it 4K. That I have that quality, but I just didn't click on that version. So my apologies. Today we are reacting to episode 2 of the Anthology series. I'm so excited because I need to listen to more Beatles music, and we need to get through these 2 episodes before I can listen to the next album, which will be A Hard Day's Night. Stay tuned. Let's jump right in. If you're new to the channel, I post all of these on Patreon, completely uncut, early. If you see the big copyright logos, I apologize. It's necessary in order to get it up on YouTube. If you want to watch it without that, click the link in bio for Patreon. You can support the channel, and it would just be the best viewing experience. Also, hit subscribe so you don't miss another Beatles video. Okay, here we go. I'm really, really excited.
We don't know, it may be next week, it may be 2 or 3 years, but I think we'll be in the business either up there or down there for at least another 4 years.
You can be big-headed and say, yeah, we're going to last 10 years. You know, we're lucky if we last 3 months, you know.
Probably the thing that John and I will do will be write songs as we have been doing as a sort of sideline now.
Before they showed evidence of that, I still had to have an album out. And so what I did was, I'd been up to the Cavern and I'd seen what they could do. And I said, let's record every song you got. And we just whistle through them in a day.
Here we go.
A day.
Get this bloody little mic out of the way.
Don't be nervous, John.
I'm not.
Don't be nervous.
We knew those songs, you see, because that was the act we did all over the country.
Rock and roll was brand new when it came out and excited everybody. It had roots in blues and jazz. But you can't say that rock and roll is like the 20s music, although if you look for it, you can find out where it came from.
They were always very influenced by American rhythm and blues. I think this is probably what the so-called Beatles sound was, because maybe they heard the records before we did. But they knew much more about Motown and all the black music, and that was a tremendous influence on them.
And the Beatles just carried it a bit further.
Love that they're highlighting all their
even than Elvis
influences.
did, because we were English, you know?
I can hardly strum with all these microphones about here.
Basically, this album was just what we did live in the clubs.
Do you want to know a secret? Track
That's how they were able to do it in one
We just
day.
do it on the second verse, like we said.
Listen, do you want to know a secret?
The first album was recorded in a one long 12-hour session, which the last song to be done was a song called Twist and Shout, which nearly killed me.
Come
You can hear that I'm just some frantic guy, you know, doing his best, but it's about the nearest it could get to knowing what we sounded like before we became
Vocals
the
are
clever
so
Beatles.
raw.
Well, shake it up, baby, now. Shake it up, baby. Twist and shout.
John had to save Twist and Shout till the last, and he was sucking Zoobs all day, those little throat tablets, and he finally had to do Twist and Shout, knowing he had to do it last because it would just rip his throat apart to do it. It was great. You can still hear that on the record.
I love that aspect of it.
You know you got me going.
Bum, bum, bum.
When we used to tour, do those Arthur Howe touring shows where you'd have quite a number of people on the bill. You know, Roy Orbison, Tommy Rowe, Jerry and the Pacemakers. Everybody got like 12 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever. And it was really just in that length of time, you know, all anybody could do was plug their hit records, the ones that the audience knew.
With Helen Shapiro, it was really embarrassing because we were quite happy just to be on the first nationwide tour of the proper theatres. We were quite happy just to be on that tour, but it was embarrassing because I think Please Please Me got to #1 right while we were on the road. And all the people coming to show in the concert were just waiting for the Beatles, and it was kind of embarrassing. It was the tour after that when it was Tommy Rowe and Chris Montez and the Beatles. They moved us to
Britain's
being,
dynamic.
you know, actually closing the first half of the show.
We were performers in Liverpool, Hamburg, and around the dance halls, you know, and what we generated was fantastic.
We never stopped anywhere.
You know, if we were in Elgin on a Thursday and we needed to be in like Portsmouth on Friday, you would just drive. And we would just go everywhere in this van. And the kit would, you know, and the amps, everything would fit in it.
We knew this guy, Mal, because he used to come, he worked for the GPO, and he used to come and be a part-time bouncer on the cabin. We got to know him, and somebody suggested he drive for us. So he drove us a couple of times when Neil could make it, and then there was so much happening, we needed another person, so we just employed him full-time.
And we were going up the motorway, and the windscreen got knocked out by a pebble. So Mal just put his hat on backwards, punched the windscreen out completely, and like drove, you know. But of course, this was winter in Britain, and it was freezing. And because it was fog, he was having to look for the curb all the time, all the way up to Liverpool. You know, it's like 200 miles. Very, very cold. And remember what we did? We lay on each other
with a bottle of whiskey. And then when the one on the top got
This is so
so
crazy.
cold, he was like,
Switch.
hypothermia was setting in. It was his turn to get on the bottom, and then, you know, we'd warm each other up that way and keep swigging the whiskey.
We were really tight, you know, as friends. We could argue a lot amongst ourselves, but we were very, very close to each other.
I love seeing the old shots. This is so cool. They literally look like toddlers here.
We had a kind of staircase to climb through clubs like the Cavern, through up to ballrooms, which were now, instead of 400, 500 people, was now a couple of thousand people.
Wow.
We wanted to be on the Saturday morning club. And the great thing I loved about the show was you'd wake up after your week of school or whatever it was, and you'd lie in. And I had a radio by my bed, and I'd lie in till about 11. Great, the most delicious lie-in ever of your life, you know, those teenage lie-ins, Saturday. Turn the radio on, and this program would be on there still for another hour, Saturday Club. So that we really wanted to be on that. That was, we knew that there were people listening to that. It was a huge audience.
We did a lot of tracks that were never recorded on record for Saturday Club. A lot of stuff we'd been doing at the Cabin or Hamburg and that. There was some good stuff then. They were well recorded too.
I heard they were coming to Manchester Odeon, and I'd heard the Odeon Cinema, and we didn't cover, we theatre critics so-called, didn't cover one-night stands of pop stars because there was no continuity. But anyway, I bought tickets at £1 each, I think, and Jerry and the Pacemakers had been on before, and Roy Orbison preceded the Beatles.
It was pretty hard to keep up with that man. He really put on a show. Well, they all did, but Orbison had that fantastic voice.
Remember, we'd be on the tour bus, and Roy would be at the back of the bus. He'd be writing something like Pretty Woman or something. I remember him playing that to us. We said, great song. From this, a little bit of competitiveness would come in, a little bit of competition, because we'd think we've got to write one as good as that. So we were just trying to improve all the time, and we'd listen to something that somebody else had done, and we'd just try and beat it a bit. We'd try and beat what we were doing. And, I mean, by the time we got to something like From Me to You, it was nice, because I remember being very pleased with the chord in the middle, which was different from what we'd been doing. Anything that you want. Then he went, just that was like, ooh, you know, this is something we hadn't done before.
I haven't heard this one yet. This might be on the Past Masters that I will be reacting to soon.
You'd always know when they were going to be on the radio. And so, you know, Brian is, oh, it's going to be on at, hello boys, it's going to be on at 7:20. And we'd all be in the car, and we'd stop wherever we were, we would hope, so we could listen to this.
Just call on me, and I'll send it along with love from me to you.
The Beatles and From Me to You, their third single release, which incidentally is this week sitting at the top of the hit parade.
Wow. Ooh, when they beat Jerry.
And the other great deal was, every time it moved in the charts, we'd have a celebratory dinner.
In the early days, we'd make a record in 12 hours or something, and they'd want a single every 3 months, and we'd have to be writing it literally in the hotel or in a van. The demand on us was tremendous.
I remember sitting on a pair of twin beds in a hotel bedroom, had a day off, so we were going to write a song. All our early songs had always had...
Let's go,
Please,
go.
please, me, from me to you, P.S. I love you. We always had this very personal thing, thank you, girl. And we hit on the idea of doing a kind of reported conversation. I saw her yesterday. She told me what to say. She said, she loves you. So it just gave us another little dimension, really. Just meant that the song then was
a bit more
something different
complex
from what we and other people had written before.
When we go home, you know, we go in early in the morning when we finish the job, and the kids, you know, they don't know you at home. But if they find out, well, where I live, they get the drums out, you know, and beat it out.
Oh, my God.
It was getting really big. I think we noticed as we tried to move around town. We started being noticed in the street. It was impossible to go home. It's very true. If you're in our business, you go to London. I mean, that's where it happens. The recordings are the places to be seen, or where it's happening is it's just a natural move, you know. You know, and George and I shared an apartment in Green Street, Park Lane. Wow, 45 quid a week, a fortune. And we'd go to the saddle rooms. There used to be a club, and they used to have this horse coach outside. And there'd be two little drunken Beatles in the back of this coach being taken home to Green Street up Park Lane, clip-clop. Well, this is two shit kickers from Liverpool. I mean, this is far out news here. Yeah, let's take the carriage. Okay.
And it was great, you know, we were kings, and we all, you know, just at the prime, and we all used to just go around London in our cars and meet each other and talk about music with the Animals and Eric and all that. And we were very close to the Stones. They needed a record. They'd put out Come On by Chuck Berry, and they needed a quick follow-up. I Want to Be Your Man, which we virtually finished off in front of them.
I want to be your man. I want to be your man. Yes, I want to be your.
They did it first. We did it with Ringo after.
I want to be your man. I want to be your man. I want to be your man. I want to be your man.
Yeah, this one I'm still not crazy about. I just don't like the chorus.
We're a little nervous, but we always had that confidence.
It's the Gay Sisters. Fabulous. The Gay Sisters. This is died, you heard. This is the Beatles.
Hello, Eric.
Hello, mate.
I remember you. You're the one with the short, fat, hairy legs.
No. He's the one with the short, fat, hairy leg.
Yeah.
Oh, him.
Yeah.
We're the ones with the big, fat, hairy heads. Get out of that.
And that was a good thing about being four together, not like Elvis, you know. I always felt sorry later for Elvis because he was on his own. He had his guys with him, but there was only one Elvis. Nobody else knew what he felt like. But for us, we all shared the experience.
1, 2, 3, 4. Did it well there, see, told you, hello to you and see how you like it.
We had great time in the studio. They were enormously happy times, and they would fool around a lot, you know, and have a bit of a laugh. My memory of those times were very happy ones.
I don't think I've heard this either. Oh, this is like a demo.
Take two, this boy, take two.
Tiny Mammy say this boy. And if I don't, well, it's just too bad, isn't it? You're daft, Gath. 2, 3, 4.
Ooh. I like that.
Though he may want you to.
Wait, I like this one. I love the back and forth of that boy versus this boy.
We do like the fans and enjoy reading the publicity about us, but from time to time you don't realise that it's actually about yourself. You see your pictures and read articles about, you know, George Harrison, Ringo Starr, Paul and John, but you don't actually think, oh, that's me that I am in the paper. It's funny. It's just as though it's a different person.
It all sounds complaining, but, you know, we're not. We're just putting the point is that, you know, it affects your home more than it does yourself, you know, because you know what to expect. But your parents and your family, you know, they don't know what's happening.
You were treated differently. And you had to get used to that then. Then you found yourself in a weird land.
You know, people are so in awe of fame. I mean, all you have to do is go on the radio or the television once. And if somebody sees you on there and then they see you down the street, they act different, don't they? But the
true.
Beatles has been on the papers every day for a year or so. Everybody changes, you know, they're so impressed by it. People forget how to act normal.
As I was at my auntie's, which I'd been 1,000 times before, and anyway, we were having a cup of tea one night. May have even been after an Empire show or a Southport show, one of those shows. And somebody knocked the little coffee table and my tea went in my saucer, and suddenly it was, he can't have that. We have to tidy it up with. That would never have happened before. And I thought, oh, things are changing. I mean, it was an absolute arrow in the brain, you know.
I haven't heard
Today,
that one either.
the Beatles return from Sweden to be greeted by what the British press are calling Beatlemania. We'll see what the Queen Mother thinks of Beatlemania when the Beatles perform at the Royal Variety Show on the 4th of November.
Look how many people are
I
at
was
the
sent
airport.
to pursue them, to harass them in September '63 by the news editor of the Daily Express, who said they'd had it. They were about to betray their young fans by agreeing to appear on the Royal Variety Show. Go and get them. Get a quote. Get them to condemn themselves out of their own mouths and say, we shouldn't be doing it. We know that we're betraying our fans. And so on and so on. Well, and the long and short of it was, we all turned up, the Daily Mail, the Express, the Mirror. They were very defiant. Ringo did the perfect quote. I want to play me drums for the Queen Mum, all that sort of stuff.
We were the first working class singers that stayed working class and pronounced it. Didn't try and change our accents, which in England were looked down upon, probably still are.
John, in this Royal Variety Show, when you're appearing before royalty, your language has got to be pretty good, obviously. This thing about Ted, he's saying that he couldn't distinguish. I
can't understand
the
Teddy.
Queen's English.
I can't understand Teddy saying that at all, really. I'm not going to vote for Ted.
Paul, have you thought about your act for the show yet? Any changes in the act, or is it going to be, you know, the usual routine?
No, we'll have to change it, I'm sure. We can't... No, stop it, Jimmy. We'll have to change it, but we can't do the same thing all the time. We haven't thought about what we're going to do yet.
Suits with collars on? Brushed party in
never
hair?
know.
Something like that?
I may not wear suits. You never know. We've no idea.
Thank you. For our last number, I'd like to ask your help. The people in the cheaper seats, clap your hands. And the rest of you, if you just rattle your jewelry.
Rattle your jewelry. Okay, the Queen seemed amused.
Thank you. We'd like to sing a song called Twist and Shout. 1, 2, 3.
With the Beatles was the first kind of put-together album of first songbook, so to speak. And they gave me a list of their songs, and they were all thinking in terms of singles still.
I wanna be your man. I wanna be your man.
We weren't thinking in terms of an album being an entity by itself. It was a collection of their songs.
Right.
And I think one or two other people's songs as well.
There was a bunch of cover versions on this, Mr. Postman.
Wait, oh yes, wait a minute, Mr. Postman. Wait, hey.
It was interesting when I joined the Beatles. We didn't really know each other, but if we looked at each other's record collection, the four of us virtually had the same records.
And all we did was to record singles, and the ones that weren't too good, we wouldn't issue as singles, we put them on an album.
Close your eyes and I'll kiss you. Tomorrow I'll miss you.
In the early days, we were really set on giving people their money's worth off the record. And that was our policy at first, just to put 14 tracks aside that was brand new and never put singles on the albums, which everybody did was have a hit single and make an album around it.
Robert Freeman, who took this picture, copied, or request actually, he copied Astrid Kirchherr's photographs. We showed him the pictures that we took in Hamburg with Astrid and said, why can't you do it like this?
I actually really like
The
the album
Beatles'
cover.
second LP, With the Beatles, has broken the record for advance sales of an LP. With the Beatles has an advance of 250,000. The record was previously held by Elvis Presley's Blue Hawaii. Brian Epstein could well be right in his prediction that the Beatles one day will be bigger than Elvis Presley.
You know, our goal was to be as big as Elvis, but we didn't actually think we were going to do it. We couldn't think in terms of going to America. I mean, that was like a dream. I mean, you think locally, first of all, it was making it big in Liverpool, and then being the best group in the county, you know, then being the best group in England, and then we go up to Scotland and break them in and things like that.
I think one of the cheekiest things we ever did was say to Brian Epstein, we're not going to America till we've got a number one. And the reason we did that, we'd seen a lot of people like Adam Faith, Cliff Richard, British stars, quite big stars over in Britain, go over to America and be like third or fourth on the bill to people like Frankie Avalon.
George had been over there to America a little before we'd gone, and nobody knew about us, and he came back and got us all worried. Because he'd go into record shops saying, we got the Beatles record, and they'd say, who?
And the EMI company wouldn't, which was Capitol,
So
wouldn't
crazy.
put out our records. For some reason, somebody
time has changed.
else may be able to fill us in on that. I don't know why.
I would send them to my friends in America at Capitol Records and say, this group is fantastic. You've got to issue them and you've got to sell them in the States. And each time the head of Capitol Records, Parks and Peter, would turn it down and deny him and say,
Bird brain.
sorry, we know our market better than you do, and we don't think they're any good. So I would then take the record back from them and try and get it up with another label. And I did negotiations with Swan and with VJ, each of whom, very tiny labels in the States, took one or the other titles. And they put those records out in America. And of course, being small labels, they didn't make a great deal of success.
And that was the way it worked out. We released Please Please Me.
Please, please me, oh yeah.
Flop. From Me to You.
Flop.
Love from me to you.
Flop. Changed record labels. Released She Loves You. They'd all been big hits in England, all been number one. All of them flops, nothing.
So weird.
No, I think it should start
So
loud,
weird.
you know, because when he first did.
We're rolling. Here we go.
Thing I didn't like that.
Clean beginning. 1, 2, 3.
I Want to Hold Your Hand. It wasn't designed specifically for the American market, but like the ones before it, it was a great record.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you something. I think you'll understand.
By this time, the news from England and Europe was overwhelming that they were a hit group. And also, the Swan and VJ labels were making inroads. They were selling by this time. So Capitol were forced to release I Want to Hold Your Hand.
But at that
Forced.
time, I didn't realize that Capitol Records had been told, you know, you can, okay, they wanted to have the Beatles, you see. So then Brian Epstein said, okay, well, you can have them then on condition you spend $70,000 advertising them, which sounded enormous, but they did. So that was part of the deal. They had to promote us.
I wanna hold your hand.
So the label backing really helped with the push to the US.
The funny thing about France was it was boys screaming. It was boys. To be like, Le Beatles, Le Beatles, oh no, attention, Paul, Jean.
The market's different in every
oui,
country.
Okay, you know, like, dear me.
We had visions of all these French girls, you know, ooh la la and all that. And instead, the audience, at least on the opening night, all seemed to be boys shouting, Ringo, Ringo. We didn't see any of the Bridget Bardot kind that we were expecting to see.
It was very strange because suddenly we had all these boys, and the audience was like a roar instead of a scream. We'd been so used to the girls, you know.
Well, I don't think we went down that well, but I think we built it. Over the few days, we kind of built it up, and eventually it was a bit of a success, you know. But it wasn't quite what we were used to. We were used to a little bit more instant success than that. In the evening, after one of the shows, when we were having a drink at the hotel, and it came Capitol Records, congratulations, lads, #1 in US charts or something. So we all hit the roof. I remember riding round on Mal Evans's back for about 20 minutes or so. Yay! and he was, happy to bear me. It was just very high hysterics,
And Brian rang me around about 1:30 in the morning. He said, I know you won't mind being woken up. I said, well, I wasn't asleep anyway. He said, well, I've just heard from America. We're #1.
Wow.
Fantastic. He said, do you want to come round? No. So we all went round and had a great drink up. It was lovely. Super. We never went to bed that night.
It was a great feeling because we were booked to go there directly after the Paris trip. So it was, it was handy to have a #1.
John, so far, all British pop stars have not made a tremendous impact on the States. How do you think you're going to fare?
Well, I can't really say, can I? I mean, is it up to me? No. I mean, I just hope we go all right,
Oh yeah, I'll tell you something.
I know on the plane over I was thinking, oh, we won't make it, or I said
Who
it
is
on a
she?
film somewhere,
I didn't even think about that.
That's
Do they have
the
any
side,
girlfriends
that
at this
side
point?
of- We knew we would wipe them out if we could just get a grip on you.
It was like flying into the unknown. You didn't know what to expect.
I love that they have
we're
video
going
footage of all of
going to
this.
America, right? And it was the first time for everybody except George.
I remember before landing, it was so exciting. As the plane flew over New York, I really felt like some, sci-fi movie had gone down and a big octopus grabbed the plane and was dragging us down to New York. I mean, it was all just so exciting. This was America, Things we dreamt about and heard about and all the music we loved had come out of.
All the music we'd loved had come from there, so I mean, just to be there was exciting. But because we'd made this strange condition of being #1 before we went, it was like going as princes. I mean, you were just, there were millions of kids at the airport, which nobody expected, and we heard about it mid-air, as I recall. Because there were journalists on the plane.
Wow.
And the pilot could
just from one #1,
and he said, tell the boys there's a big crowd waiting for them there.
It was a turning point in their career, a specific date on which the breadth and scope of their future was to be altered. And it was the day their Pan Am jet touched down at Kennedy International in New York to a welcome which has seldom been equaled anywhere in history.
Yeah. Crazy. Oh, what a great way to end the episode. This was an absolutely phenomenal episode because, of course, we're getting ushered into this world-renowned fame, okay? With entering the U.S., it's just going to make their market even bigger. It's crazy. I guess I didn't realize that, no British star was, or British singer group or whatever was, big in the U.S. at the time. So it's really crazy that they sort of paved the way for this sort of, international stardom. I cannot wait for A Hard Day's Night. I had to look at what the title was because I forgot. And then after Hard Day's Night, which I'll react to next, I will react to episode 3. So stay tuned. Again, head to Patreon if you want to watch this video uncut. Stay tuned for the next. And I love you all. Peace out.